Hello, today I would like to tell you a few things that are new in the GeoGebra world, starting with the GeoGebra phone apps. Then I would like to talk a little bit about GeoGebra in exam situations, and last but not least, we'll have a look at new features on the GeoGebra website, in particular our collaboration features with GeoGebra Groups. Okay, let's get started. So, before I talk about the phone apps, let's have a quick look back. We already have apps out there for the tablets, for the different tablet versions, and the history of these versions showed us that we first tried to create special user interfaces for the tablet apps, and later on we then decided that we wanted to unify these user interfaces with what we have on the desktop also. So what we have today for Windows tablets, iPads and Android tablets is the same user interface that you see in our web application. So these apps are essentially our web application bundled in a particular way for the tablet, so you can use them nicely as apps on the tablet. So let me quickly switch to the browser here. So if we have a quick look at the web application, so this is the web application and it looks exactly the same like our tablet apps today on iPad, Android and Windows as said. So switching back here. Concerning the phone apps, so the first idea was then to take what we have on the tablets based on the web application and just put it on Android and iPhones. The problem with that was that we soon had to discover that it's not just an issue of the screen size. So first of all, you don't have as much space, so you have to make things fit there. But secondly, the main problem was that the web application simply wasn't fast enough in our feeling. We want to support also slower phones, cheaper Android phones, and we just had the feeling that it's not enough fun to use the web application there. And because of that, we have started to go in the direction of native apps. So we are now creating really native Android and iPhone apps for these platforms. So let's have a quick look at the current Android app that we have. So if you go to the Play Store, you can find the GeoGebra Graphing Calculator app. And I'm just showing you a quick demo video here. The Graphing Calculator app on Android has a nice equation editor. You can type in equations for function plotting. It also has CAS features like derivative, like we just saw here, if you just type F prime. It has shape recognition features with the toolbar. You can do geometric constructions with the toolbar that you know from our web application and the desktop application. We also have a connection to our website, so if you go on the search button, you can search for constructions from the web page and load essentially any construction that's out there from the website onto your mobile phone. So we think that this is very powerful for these two kinds of applications. Either you just use it on the fly if you want to do quick graphing or solve a math problem, or you can give some materials to your students, you put it on the GeoGebra website and then they can open it from their mobile phone application. So this was a quick look at our Android phone app. In the future, what we will also do is we are going to bring out a 3D app for Android very soon. So it's currently in beta stage and will be released for the upcoming school year, so September probably. And the idea here is that we didn't want to pack all of the features from the GeoGebra web and desktop application into one single app on the phone, but that we wanted to unbundle them. This means that there will be different GeoGebra apps in the future. So if we look back into the Play Store, the way that this is going to look like, there are going to be different GeoGebra apps. There will be a GeoGebra 3D app, this 3D Grapher app, and there will be the GeoGebra Graphing Calculator. That's the one that's already out there since last December. and there may be future apps like a CAS app and simple calculator and so on. So this gives us a nice way to keep the app simple and yet give you all the power that GeoGebra has to offer, but just across different apps. Maybe let's have a quick look at some of these nice screenshots that we have here. So that's from the upcoming 3D app. You will have 3D geometry obviously here. You will also have 3D plotting, so you can type in equations into variables like here in X and Y, and you can have them drawn nicely. And again, this is also going to be connected with the GeoGebra website, so if you have 3D materials from the website, you can easily open that in the app. Good. Another interesting feature that's both related to the web application and the phone app is the idea that we really want to help you to use GeoGebra as a replacement for a traditional graphing calculator, so that you can just use your phone instead of the graphing calculator. We've already done that in the web application. Let me quickly show you what I mean with these input-output rows. So one problem in the past was that when you typed in a calculation like 3 plus 5, GeoGebra would just give you the result, but it wouldn't show you what you had typed in previously. So when I do that now, 3 plus 5, I get two rows. I get an input row, 3 plus 5, and an output row with the result, which is similar to our CAS view, and we're now also doing that in the algebra view. There's a nice little feature connected to that, for example, when you're dealing with fractions. So you could type in something like this here, like adding up two fractions, then GeoGebra will automatically detect that these are fractions. It will give you the result as a fraction, and there's a little button here that lets you switch between approximation mode, so you can convert it into decimal, or switch back to exact mode, which gives you the fraction. So you can toggle that here. Another example with functions. Let's just maybe do some simple function sine of x, and if I now do the derivative of that function, then again I see both rows. I see the input, what I typed in, the command, and I see the result, cosine of x. Okay, so this is this input-output row thing, and I think it's very important for the graphing calculator idea, and we're also going to put that soon into our Android phone app, that feature. Another feature that we want to add in the future for our phone apps is offline saving, automatic offline saving, meaning that when you do something on the phone or on the tablet, that it's saved automatically in the background. And as soon, so when you're offline, and as soon as you get online again, it's automatically synchronized with our web page. Another application of this should be that if you as a teacher want to give, let's say, a GeoGebra book, so a collection of GeoGebra worksheets to your students, and if they open that at home, if they open that book at home where they have internet, they can download it to their phone. It stays on their phone, they come to school next day, so they won't need internet access at school when you're working with it, if you're worried that your internet is not stable enough, or you're worried that if everyone at the same time accesses the book, it gets too slow. So these kind of things we can then nicely work around. So the idea is that everything that you do on the phone app can be done offline, and as soon as you get online, your changes will be synchronized with our website automatically in the background when you're logged in, of course. What else? Yeah, of course, GeoGebra for the iPhones. What's with the iPhone? I was just talking about Android so far. Of course, we're also thinking about the iPhone version, and we're already working on that. So we currently have a prototype in development, and the idea is that we also want to release something in the early fall for the coming school year. Meaning in, let's hope in October we will have a first version out. We will probably not have all of the features from the Android app yet, because what we need to do is we need to re-implement the user interface, and we want to make it really nicely adapted to the iPhone, iOS environment also. but we were able to reuse all of the mathematical code. So the mathematical code, all the algorithms, all the calculations are done in the same way like on Android. So we were able to take the existing code base from the desktop application, web application, and automatically convert that into something that we can use on iPhone and Android. This means that the same constructions will work everywhere, so you don't have to worry that some features are not supported on iPhone or Android. No, it's the same GeoGebra version running everywhere, the same mathematical algorithms. The only difference is the user interface, and we are just extending that and adapting it to the different platforms. So it may just be the case that the user interface looks slightly different, but we're really trying to make the experience as close as possible across all the platforms in the future. Good. What else? Okay, so that's the phone apps. Let's switch to another topic, which is GeoGebra in exams. That's also something that we've been asked about lately quite a lot, and we've also played it with a couple of solutions. So just to give you some ideas, that you could even use phones in exam situations where you want to really replace a graphing calculator with your smartphone, with the student's smartphone plus GeoGebra installed on it. The problem with the smartphone obviously is that students have access to internet and to phone calls and messages and so on. So you don't want them to communicate during the exam, obviously. And in order to lock down your smartphone, there are different possibilities. And one possibility you can see here on the screen is that you use some kind of child protection app. One example on Android is that's a free app which is called Kids Place. Kids Place is one example for an app where you can specify which apps are allowed to be used by your kids, so in this case by students during an exam. And the way that it works is that a teacher could put in a PIN code, and you can only get out of this lockdown mode where you can only use the GeoGebra app and nothing else. You can only get out of this when you enter this PIN code again. So essentially a teacher can lock down the phone into some exam mode, and you can just use the normal GeoGebra app on there together with this lockdown software like Kids Place, and you're ready to go. On an iPhone, you already have that built in, so iPhone already has a possibility with this guided access, I think that's what they call it, where you can also lock it down with a special PIN code during an exam. Another thing related to that is GeoGebra Exam, the GeoGebra Exam mode, which we've developed for now for the desktop, and we're also gonna put that into special tablet apps very soon. So let me show you what that is and what's the idea here. GeoGebra Exam, if you go to geogebra.org/exam, it's essentially a special way to use our web application. And the idea is that we don't want to lock down the system, because that's very difficult to lock down a desktop computer and really make sure that students are not going anywhere else. So what we said is, if it's not a high stakes exam, so if this is just a regular test, during the school year, and you don't want to install special software for locking down the computer and so on, so if it just should be something simple, then it might be good enough just to detect if a student has left GeoGebra. So the idea here for this exam mode is, we're in a situation where we still have a paper-based exam. We want to use the computer, the laptop or the tablet of a student next to the paper-based exam, and the student should just not be able to get out of GeoGebra. So they shouldn't be able to go to web browser, they shouldn't be able to go to WhatsApp or some other communication channel. So the idea here is that as soon as I press Start Exam, well, first of all, I can select what features should be available. So do we want to allow CAS, so symbolic computations? Do we want to allow 3D? So let's say we don't want any of these, so we switch that off. And now the student would press Start Exam. As soon as the student does that, you can see as a teacher in the header that the CAS is deactivated, the 3D is deactivated, and there's a timer running. The timer running is important so that I as a teacher know that all of my students have started the exam mode at the same time and that they haven't left it and restarted it later. So by doing that at the end of the exam, I can ask everyone, okay, now please leave the exam mode, stop the exam, and I can see that they all have the same timer value and that they haven't been doing anything else in the meanwhile. Okay, so how does this work? So as soon as I would leave this, I will now switch back to PowerPoint here. As soon as I do that, I'm in PowerPoint now, and now I go back to my exam mode, then the header gets red. So as soon as GeoGebra is left, and I'm in full screen, so I can't see anything else, as soon as GeoGebra is left, it's detected, you get a red header, so the teacher could immediately see, hey, the student has left GeoGebra, and this was not supposed to happen. There's also a log if you click on the icon, the information icon, which tells you that when the exam window was left after 43 seconds, and now in this case the exam window was re-entered, so the student came back. So I was just out of the exam mode for 3 seconds. So if that happens accidentally to a student, you know, you can negotiate with them, but typically that should not really happen. And then at the end, they can go to exit exam mode. And if they really exit it, then the teacher can go through and you have your log, so you can see whether they have left the exam or not. So in this case, yeah, they have left it, so that shouldn't have happened. So that's a simple attempt to support teachers in using GeoGebra during exams without having to install some extra software that's locking down your computer. Good, so this was the exam mode. So again, here's the link. If you want to try it out, please feel free to give us feedback, and I will show you an email address to send us feedback later on. Good, so the third part that I want to tell you about today is related to our website and the GeoGebra Groups feature, which is all about collaboration. So let's go to our webpage. If you are now logged in on our webpage, and if you go to materials, then you will see something like this, where you see your materials, your groups, and following. So maybe let's talk about this following first. So what's following? Following means that you can now follow other people on the GeoGebra website. People who are maybe creating interesting materials that you'd like to know about. So as soon as I follow someone, like Diego for example, whenever Diego creates a new material, because I'm following him, then I will get an email notification about that. So GeoGebra lets me know when Diego creates something new, and then I can have a look at it. So that's a nice way to be informed about materials by authors where you think that they are creating high quality stuff, so, and you would like to know what they're doing. In the future, we would like to extend this and not just be able to follow someone. We also are thinking about ways to communicate with each other so that you can send messages to other authors and ask them, hey, how did you do that? Or could you give a workshop for my school? And things like this. So we want to develop GeoGebra, the GeoGebra website, further into some kind of social network for math and science teachers and students. Coming back to the materials here, so what I wanted to show you, I wanted to show you the groups, of course. So the groups, what's that? If you go to geogebra.org/groups, so that's the main entrance page, you just see this nice image here, and what you can do here is you can create your own group very easily. You just have to be signed in, and then you can create the group. And what this does, it gives you a group code. And as soon as you have the group code, you can share the group code with others, like your students, and they can use this group code here. Just type in the group code to join the group. So joining a group is very easy with the group code. Let me show you an example for such a group. Here we go. So this GeoGebra and CAS 2016 summer class. I was teaching that class at my university for some future math teachers. And the way that this group works is that the group has posts. So for example here, basic use of GeoGebra is a post, and I added some materials. The materials that you add into a post can be GeoGebra worksheets. It can be also images and videos, so you can have different kinds of materials. As soon as I have given this to my students, so let's maybe have a look at my students here. So who are the members of this group? So you see there are these members. This was a class of 19 people, including myself. And in order to join that group, you see here it shows the group code. So this is what I told my students: please just enter this group code on GeoGebra.org/groups, and then you can join the group. So you don't need to send them emails, you don't need to know their email addresses or something like that. It's really easy. You just give them the group code, you put it on the blackboard when you're in class, and then they can join. Or if you want to use a group for collaboration with colleagues, with other teachers to share some materials and collect some materials, for example, you could of course just send them this group code, or you can also add people to a group by entering an email address. So here in this invite box I can put in usernames from GeoGebra. So if I would like to add Andreas Lindner, for example, a teacher from Austria that I know, then you can search for other users and invite them, or you can just put in, you know, an email address, and then you could just invite people via email. So that's all possible. So you can do that in both ways, but the easiest one, as I said, is the group code. Okay, so as soon as you have some people in there, everyone will see the posts. Whenever you put a new post, then they will get an email notification about that. And the interesting part of a group is you can not only share things with others, like with students or colleagues, but you can also collect their work back. So in this case, I use this group in my class to collect the homework. So for example, I could have a look what they have done for some of the construction tasks, so maybe something simple here, equilateral triangle. And I can have a look how this student has solved that. So what the student had to do here is there was an applet where you can just go through the different steps, and then there was an empty applet that I put in below into the GeoGebra worksheet, and then the student was just asked please do that equilateral triangle construction. And what I see here is the work of the student. So the cool thing about the group is that when students do something in the group, in the GeoGebra worksheet, then everything is saved automatically. And I, as a teacher, can then just look at what they have done. I can look at this, I can give some feedback, I can add comments here. Well done. And I can also mark this as complete or incomplete. So if I basically want to make sure and check that it's finally done, or I can tell her please improve and change this, and then I still mark it incomplete. So it's a very simple way of collecting work from students and also giving them feedback. And again, if I give some feedback, they get an email notification, they can click on it, and we can have that conversation. Another thing that's quite nice in the groups is out in the post section there are comments. So for every post you can have comments. So for example, you know, when you want to collect something, let me just see if I can quickly find that. Maybe not, let's just see up here. Yeah, here. So here I was collecting some GeoGebra books that the students were creating, and then they can just throw in the links here as comments, and then everyone can see that. So the difference between the feedback tab and the post tab really is that everything that's on a posts section in a group, everyone can see in the group. So that means they can all see the comments of each other. So it's nice if students want to share something in the class, or they want to ask a question publicly in the class. The feedback section, in there the communication is just between the teacher and the student, or the group owner and the members, if you want to use it with colleagues. So you can also have this kind of private communication about the task, but just about the tasks. Okay, so these are groups. And as said, I'd like to invite you to try them out. Just go to geogebra.org/groups, create your own group, invite a couple of colleagues, try it out, and maybe you want to have a go with it also for your own teaching. Yeah, so that's basically it for today. Quick reminder, if you want to try out the phone application, please just go to the Android Play Store, the Google Play Store, and just look for Graphing Calculator. You will find our app there. The exam mode is something that we're currently trying out, and it's this GeoGebra.org/exam. It's the web application version. Please try it out, give us feedback if you have ideas how to improve it. As said, we will also release quite soon special tablet apps for these exam modes also. And last but not least, the groups feature, which I just showed you. Perfect. So if you have any questions, suggestions for the things that I just showed you or other ideas, then please feel free to write us at support@geogebra.org, or you can also go directly to our webpage and you go to geogebra.org/forum, which is a friendly place where you can ask questions, you can enter your questions, or have bug reports, or just add ideas. So again, thank you very much. I hope that I could tell you some new things that you didn't know about yet, and looking forward to hear back from you. Thanks a lot.